Hey, what's up guys? I'm BTC. In this video, we're doing a countdown of the top 5 tips for basic tricks in Overwatch. If you're new to Overwatch, or if you're having trouble climbing the competitive ladder, then this guide is for you. Starting at number 5, control the med packs. We're going to start out this list with something that is very simple to do, but can have a pretty big impact in a fight. Now, I'm not talking about only Sombra and hacking the med packs, although that hero does change stuff up quite a bit. Regardless of the character you play, you should know where all the med packs are on every map. You're not always going to have a healer nearby that can immediately heal you. Your healer could be busy with someone else on your team, or could have gotten killed already, in which case most characters are going to need to use health packs to survive. So in any fight situation, you should always know where the nearest health pack is going to be, preferably one of the large health packs. Having to go grab a health pack will take you out of the fight for a few seconds, but it's a lot faster than dying, waiting to respawn, and then running all the way back to the point. Another thing to remember is that your enemies are going to know where the health packs are as well, and it can be very important to prevent the enemy team from using them. If you happen to be fighting near a health pack, but let's say you're already at full health and your opponent has taken a little bit of damage, it can be a good idea to allow the enemy to hit you. Intentionally take damage yourself so that you can grab the health pack and prevent the enemy from getting it. By denying it, you're still going to have the health advantage and you should be able to win the fight. Now, if you do happen to be using a Sombra, make sure you have as many of the large health packs hacked as often as you can. Remember to go and refresh the hacks as they start to get low, and also encourage your teammates to use those health packs, because Sombra will gain ultimate charge when your teammates heal using a hacked health pack. Number 4. Make use of A and D strafe spam. One of the ways that you can take less damage and last a lot longer in a fight is to use your A and D keys to strafe spam to the left and the right. One of the most common mistakes that new and inexperienced players make is they get so focused on trying to aim and shoot their target that they forget to move themselves. And when they're just kind of sitting there stationary, they make themselves a really easy target to hit. Simply moving around isn't enough though, because if your movement is predictable, then the enemy will still be able to hit you. So something you should do with most characters is while you're trying to engage an enemy, you should be tapping the A and D keys to strafe back and forth in order to try to avoid their shots. But even that can be predictable, so you have to change it up a little bit. Don't just do the same thing over and over, tapping left, then right, then left, then right. While you're strafing, make it so that you're also changing up the distance a little bit as well, to confuse your enemy and make them miss. Now there is a bit of a downside to this. The constant movement left and right, back and forth, will make it more difficult for you to hit what you're aiming at. But with a little bit of practice, you can get over that and adjust, and you'll start not only avoiding their shots, but also landing yours at the same time. Number 3. Use the high ground advantage. In most of the maps, particularly the payload ones, the defense team will always have the ability to use high ground. But unfortunately, a lot of new or inexperienced players will not take advantage of it. Instead, you will see these players on the ground level, making them easier to kill by the attackers. High ground has a couple of advantages. First, certain characters have abilities that will only work when an enemy is on the same level as they are. For example, a Reinhardt charge won't work if the targets are all above him. Second, a tank on the low ground has a much harder time defending his teammates, whereas a tank on the high ground has a much easier job. Third, the attacking team on the low ground has to be careful not to get surrounded by the defenders dropping down from several locations. And lastly, defenders on the high ground are harder to hit overall because most of their character model is obscured by the edge of the building. The high ground attacker, however, can still see and shoot just fine. If there is high ground available, you and most of your team should be up there trying to make use of it. And not just for the initial push either. Another big problem is that some players will use the high ground to fight off the first wave of the attack, but then after winning the fight, they stay on the low ground instead of going back up to the high ground where they should be. Every time you successfully defend a point from the attackers, you should go back up top to the high ground to once again get the high ground advantage. Number 2, know when to kill yourself. This might sound kind of self-defeating, but killing yourself by jumping off a cliff or simply allowing the enemy to finish you off is a smart and viable tactic. Anytime your team is on attack and the push to capture the point fails, it's important that after 4 or 5 of your teammates are dead, that you get out of the fight as soon as you can. Now, if it's at all possible, you want to retreat to a safer area closer to your spawn to regroup with your team. But if that's not an option, you pretty much just want to fling yourself off the nearest cliff. The reason for this is twofold. First, you need to get back with your team so that you respawn about the same time that they do. You need to make another push as a full team. And if you're lingering at the point in a foolish Rambo attempt to capture it in a 1 versus 6, then the only thing you're going to succeed in doing is delaying your team. Because after they respawn, they're now going to have to wait for you, because you chose to stay at the point and run around even after all of them were already dead. The other reason why you want to try to jump off a cliff if possible is so that the enemy team doesn't get to build ultimate charge by attacking you. In some cases, you won't have a way to escape, and there won't be any cliffs nearby that you can jump off of, in which case, you pretty much just have to charge into the enemy and let them kill you. Preferably by an enemy who you think already has their ultimate charge built up though. So now when your team respawns, they will only have to wait a few seconds before you do as well. Then together as a 6-man group, you can make another attempt at capturing the point. And the number 1 tip for basic tricks in Overwatch is to learn animation canceling. So if you've never heard of this, animation canceling is when you use one of your abilities to cut off unneeded animation of another ability. In Overwatch, this can be used in several different situations to either increase your damage or speed up an action. Recently, animation canceling was nerfed slightly so that certain combos could no longer be done, but it's still extremely effective and definitely something that you want to learn. Most of the characters' reload animations can be interrupted by using an ability. If you watch this Roadhog reloading, you'll see the amount of ammo in the gun goes to full well before the reload animation is complete. So what we can do is start the reload animation, and the instant you see the number change to full, you can interrupt and animation cancel the reload by using Roadhog's self-heal. A reload can be interrupted by almost any ability in the game. You can also use a quick melee to animation cancel as well. Now, contrary to what some people think, this does not make the reload faster, but it does allow you to sneak in the extra damage of the quick melee. There are lots of abilities that you can animation cancel to add extra damage or just save time. So practice different combinations with the characters that you use to see how you can best take advantage of animation canceling. Alright guys, that is it for this one. I'm always uploading the latest in tips, guides, and Overwatch news, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of it. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, share it with your friends. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.